Da 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 da. Yeah. Alright, everybody. Hi. Welcome. I completely forgot I promised to do this, and I'm gonna do it now. I streamed some behind the scenes, but I was rambly and messy, and I hope it won't happen this time because I have the power of editing on my side. Also, I played copyrighted music during that other stream, and that's a no-no. Alright, so today we'll be going over the Busted in Blue video. Yeah. So a lot of you have been curious about some stuff and stuff. So yeah. For the storyboard, I used a program called Procreate, which is actually a iPad app that is compatible with the Apple Pencil. That way I could work like when I wasn't at my computer, which happened. What I did, because Procreate's just a drawing app, I just got a rough pencil brush and watercolor just to do some rough shading later, and then I just drew each frame was on each like separate layers, and I just drew it. I played music on my phone through my earbuds, and I just kept on having to rewind and replay the certain parts to be like, okay, and then where do they come? Like that. I'd try to like time it, me clicking each different layers and stuff. And after that was done, after I finished that, this took me about like 2 weeks, by the way, for the storyboard. I exported all the layers as separate images, and here they all are, all 1080p. I probably shouldn't have done it this like large. Let's see. Yeah. Oh no, it's 720p. Okay. Yeah, that's all you really need. I wasn't expecting to show the storyboard, to be honest, but then after I finished it, I was like, I might as well, whatever. My drawing's a little rough here and there. I still haven't nailed down the Gorillaz style, in my opinion. But, you live and you learn. After I all exported the images, I put it through a program called DaVinci Resolve, which is an editing program. Actually, it's a composing program, but whatever. And then I just basically sync the images to the music. If you hear, I'm gonna play this really fast, but hopefully that didn't copyright me. But I'm using the original audio here. All right, so let me get this down for some of you. I had to use the live version. It wasn't an artistic choice. It wasn't like, oh man, I really just like the live version. I mean, I do, but that wasn't the original decision. It's because when I uploaded this animatic right here with the album version of the music, it got copyright claimed. And not just claimed, it got like insta-blocked like everywhere. As you see, I uploaded my animatic before I finished it. I tried to do that whole like copyright notice, oh, I don't own these characters, like some YouTube videos you see does. And it didn't do anything. It got blocked. All countries affected, and I just had to enlist it. And so anytime anyone tries to view this video who isn't me, so if I like open this in incognito or something, yep, WMG, Warner Music Group, thank you for that. So I had to switch to a live version, which I graciously got from another visualizer. Let me pull them up real quick. Right, so this fan-made visual had the cleanest sounding audio I could find for a Busted in Blue live version. So it didn't have like too much applause. It didn't have like it clipping at any points. It wasn't like really compressed. It was good. There wasn't like too much echo. It's a good version. I feel like it's the closest I could have gotten. So thank you to Demuni for being able to provide that. That was very helpful. I'm glad that happened, because the way Damon pronounces, Damon or 2D or whatever, the way he pronounces some words and the timing of it is slightly different. Like, he waits like half a beat in the live version, I think, and he doesn't in the album version, so the lip sync would have been off. Some people on Instagram, a couple of Gorillaz fan pages on Instagram actually put the animation to the studio version just as a short clip, and it looks, it's great, but it's still kind of off. So if I just wish I could have gotten to work with the album version. That was a choice I had to make. It was either that or like pitch up the audio, and that's gross. Ugh, I don't like that. Ugh. So after I did the animatic, I basically went on to doing the scenes. I basically counted how many scenes I needed and then categorized them in terms of A or B. And some of them are A, B. A just means it's purely 3D. I won't need to draw any like lip syncing or draw 2D like moving around. And then B means that there's 2D and he's moving around and he lip syncs. A, B just basically means it's going to be both of them. There's only a few scenes where it's only A, and then I think they're just mislabeled, to be honest. I guess we could go scene by scene. So the first scene is 1A. It's this. So some of you may have caught on that this is actually a recreated version of Andromeda. Andromeda, the song right before Bustin' Blue in the album like listing, is Andromeda is right before. It's one of the few songs they have a visualizer for. I just thought, hey, it takes place in space too. Why don't I like recreate this planet so there's like some sense of like spatial awareness. So he's taking place in roughly the same like area-ish, kind of far off. How I recreated it is through After Effects. Now let me open this project file. Alrighty. Okay, so this is the project file. It's very meaty. After Effects is very meaty. I'm actually hoping to move away from it soon. It first starts as this. This is the texture of the planet. Basically, it's just a couple of stripes of color run through a filter that makes it all like warbly. There's like a bunch of different adjustment layers on here. So it's literally just flat lines just moving down and then put through like a distortion filter. I believe it's turbulent displace. Without it, it looks like that. There's a couple streaks in there. I don't remember how that got in there. But yeah, they're pretty much just. Oh yeah, it's this. It's a couple bands of color put over a frac noise thing. Yeah, just swirling noise that's panned to be really stretched out. I actually used a tutorial on how to make Saturn and adjusted the colors and everything to make this. So then after that, basically this whole texture is in its own project, like sequence, composition. I forgot what they call it. And then that composition is put into this, which has a sphere, which is a sphere filter effect, which basically just kind of like distorts it to make it round and then cuts it off in the center, or cuts off everything but the center. It even has a, here. Yeah, but without it, it looks more like a realistic planet. But then the Andromeda video has this unearthly glow around it, and it looks really cool. So then I added glow with the effect based on alpha channel, since everything that's black here is an alpha channel, which means it's transparent. So it basically says glow where it's transparent. So that's what it's doing here. And then another filter set, hue saturation. What I did, because I noticed that in the Andromeda video, a lot of the asteroids are like a set distance from each other. So like these three, for example, they don't move. So what I got from that is that this isn't actually a 3D scene. This is actually done in a 2D compositing software. So what they did, probably, I'm guessing, is in a render engine or whatever I don't know how they did it, in like Photoshop or something. They basically made like a bunch of images of just rocks, just randomly placed, just kind of around random sizes, all with light facing from one direction. And then what they did was, for the space scene, they would move it across, just pan it. So they used multiple layers. How many layers did I use? I used 2 layers. I could have used more, but this scene was like 2 seconds and my computer was already dying. If I just add one, basically you see that it's just that one image that I showed you earlier, just moving across it at a set speed. And then what you do is get another belt. You could have used another image, but I used the same one because I'm lazy, and then have it move at a slower pace, and then that gives the illusion of depth where there is none. And then I did a similar thing with the back, and I just made it so it glows in the middle, which took a lot more finagling than it should have. And then it gets dark at the edges. I added a bunch of particles like flying at the camera, so it feels like you're flying towards the planet. And then this little thing here, yeah. That little glow is just a lens flare getting brighter and dimmer. I made it as red as I humanly could. And then here, yeah. Here's the keyframes. So it gets brighter, dimmer. Yeah, it gets brighter and dimmer synced with the beeping. On this one, I had another scene. In hindsight, I should have made the backgrounds match, but I forgot to. Basically, all I did was move all the elements closer to the camera, so I didn't have to recreate anything. Right, so that's how I did Andromeda, or how they did the visualizer. Not too hard to make, but looks really cool. Let's see, 3A. What's in 3A? All right, so 3A is one of the spaceship moving through like space. So what I did for the spaceship is here. So for the 3D portions, I used Blender, which is a free open source 3D rendering software. It's really nice, and I like it. I like it very much. So here's the ship. There's the ship in 3D. I based it off of a Russian Sputnik thing, capsule, satellite thing. I don't know what they're called, but I thought they looked cool. So I gave it a texture in a program called Substance Painter. So I made it more rusty around the around like the window and like near this like little seam thing I added halfway through. It didn't really show up much in the final thing, but I thought it looked cool. And I added some stickers on the outside, because if there's one thing I learned from studying Gorillaz things is that they really make their environments lived in feeling. So you gotta add like stickers and scratches everywhere. The ship is just going on a straight path through space, and then the camera pretty much just like goes forward and like looks at the ship. And then a bunch of rocks are there. Whoa. So the rocks are 2D images that I composited from Andromeda. I directly took a screenshot of Andromeda, cropped out the rocks. I took a couple of images from the Andromeda video, and I actually just cropped it out and manually like cut them out of the background, and I put them here for continuity. So it's about half those kinds of rocks, just like literally flat images, and the other half are like actual 3D models that I try to make look as much like the rocks, like the other asteroids, as possible. So I try to like match the lighting as best as I can. It was kind of finicky. There are way better ways that you could have done this, but I didn't do that. So yeah. Basically all the space scenes that involve the ship are just like that. It's drifting through space. A little bit of movie magic is that this like outer shell of a ship and the interior are actually separate objects. That interior isn't inside that ship. They're not even in the same project file. They're in like different folders too. I made this video of the ship just moving in, and that's it. And then basically, since the window's basically all like one color when it's like far away in the shot, I basically green screened it out, but I just used that color, chroma keyed it out, I guess, and then composited a shot of the inside, and camera blurred it a bit, added some like window grossness. I did the window grossness based on a past experiment. Some of you may have seen this. This is how some of you found me. This is a little short snippet of Andromeda that I animated. This is like a really rough draft of what the ship was gonna look like. I did this in like a different program, so it's just him lip syncing. That's it. Yeah, so based on that like test, I was able to like, oh, I could make the window this gross and stuff like that. Alright, so this is the ship, the interior of the ship. Wait till all the textures load in. Alright, so to get some of the shots where it's like him like really zoomed out, I actually made it so the walls are like one-way see-through, so I could like zoom out and see him through from every angle basically. But you know, if I was put a camera inside and like looked around, it'd be fine. Put a lot of stickers where he like sits, because that's all you really need. So the posters I have on the wall are actually one of Daft Punk, because they're my other favorite band that I got into way before Gorillaz, and an album art from an album I made personally. That's not like a plug or anything. I don't want anyone to listen to it. I drew these, of course. I did everything in this video. I didn't like do any pre-made assets other than those rocks. So here's Murdoch looking gross. Here's Russell looking lovable, and there's Noodle looking cute. The little face on this screen here, the rest are just kind of like checkerboards, like test images. The little face here is actually my old like logo that I used to like self-portrait myself. So I thought like, oh man, I'll just put that there as a placeholder, and I never got around to changing it. So the console is pretty nuts looking. So it's like half like spaceship console and half kind of like audio mixer board. And the camera never went onto here, but there's a radio thing that was supposed to be connected to the radio that 2D was holding, which is this. Yep, here's the radio. It's metallic. It has like a wood back because I just decided I'm gonna give it a wood back. And originally it was gonna be wired, so that's why there's this little nub at the bottom. It was gonna be wired, but I couldn't figure out how to wire it in time. That's why you notice in the storyboard it had a coiled wire attached to it, so it would have connected to here if I figured out how to make that work. I modeled this piano off of an old Yamaha keyboard. It actually said Yamaha here, so I photoshopped it out and replaced it with Virgil, because that's what he says at that point of the song. And I always thought the way Virgil kind of sounds like a music, like it sounds like a company who would make keyboards and speakers and stuff, like Fender. That's what I thought. So if I zoom in here, I actually like made it like really kind of grimy, like it's like super kind of slimy, not slimy, but it has a bunch of fingerprints all over it. These were supposed to be like super close-up pics of Damon and Jamie, but it got like messed up during something I did, because I did like everything in this project file. You can see a bunch of lines here, and that's just the fog that I added. Oh yeah, some of the stickers. Close-up of Jamie Hewlett, the artist behind Gorillaz, and then over here I have a close-up of Damon that's looking really stretched out for some reason, but you know, that'll bug me later. Jamie drew. So yeah, some of these are taken from actual like Gorillaz characters or like lore. Like these three are all like stickers that have appeared in his drawings before, and that and Hand with the Rising Thumb. You notice that in a lot of Phase 2 images. And then this one is just a hazard sticker I found that seemed to fit the theme. And then if I go here, there's like a warning sticker and text that's too small to read, but if you zoom in, it's the Navy SEALs copy pasta. I don't want to zoom in on that too long because it kind of has a lot of bad words in it. The little plaque here is actually just copy pasted from Jamie Hewlett's Wikipedia page. like the camera only ever like does this, but I thought like it would look more legitimate if there was some text on there. That's basically like my idea through like all like the complexity through all this. Here with the exclamation mark, the little warning thing is actually Kaz's quote from Metal Gear Solid 5, like the whole famous like, I still feel my arm, my leg. Why are we still here, just to suffer? You know, that whole thing. There's a sticker here, no one caught it, of Game Grumps, which are my favorite YouTube funny people. And yeah, how I did some of the shots is that I would position the camera to match up where my storyboard was, and then I would like render out a video or just render a single image, because some of them only needed single images. 8AB cam is the first like close-up shot you see of him. So it basically like be in this perspective, just matching up with the storyboard I did. You just see a little corner of like the console just for like some depth, and I would just take a still image of this and then basically take it into After Effects. Yep, this is what it looked like. It was super dark. I had to edit it later, but I put a lot of like mood lighting in it because I wanted this to be moody. I actually cut up like the audio from like when he like does that part, just for lip sync purposes. So then I take it into After Effects. Basically, I juggled between Blender, After Effects, and the 2D animation software, OpenTunes. I'll get more detail about that later. Alright, so this is the raw render. It was originally this. I think I re-rendered it to like have the camera move across the wall. Yeah, it did. Alright, so I rendered it to have the camera move across the wall. I added some dust to the background because, fog. It was supposed to be fog, but it's a video of dust, so I just recolored it. I added a little shadow from him like casting onto the wall. I didn't notice that it clips like that at the top, and that bugs me now. And here's 2D. Here he is. He's just a flat image superimposed onto the 3D background, basically. I could have done it in Blender. There's a way to do it where you could just import him as like an actual plane. I did it in a couple spots here. Yeah, where you import him as an actual like plane in the 3D space, and he's just flat like this. When I was making this, Blender had a bug where you couldn't play video like in this like engine like while rendering that I was doing. So I had to work around it and do it like post whatever. On top of that, I added the little microphone that he was holding. I basically just put the microphone in between his hand and the background, so it looks like he's holding it. Yet I had to cut out parts of his hand, like his little like palm here is kind of missing, so it just looks like he's holding it. This is an adjustment layer. Oh yeah, this was to make it look like he was holding the thing. Why is that above? It's just his fingers, like the shadow of his fingers on the microphone. I put an extra layer of dust on top of him, because the previous dust was below him. And then I added the little corner of the console, and made it like move across like really slowly. And then a solid just to give it some glow. It's basically just a lot of layers to make it like him look really integrated in that background. That's pretty much all how I did all of the scenes where it's 2D. Let's see, some notable ones, or oh yeah, that's kind of a notable one. That one's cool. It's the same thing. It's just him really close up, like superimposed on top of a already pre-rendered video photo actually of the background. And then in After Effects, I added the live performer Kalila into the background and like added a bunch of glitchy effects and then blurred it so it looks like she's part of the screen. So the 2D animation, I drew 2D in 2D. Ugh. Let's see. Here's a random one. All right, so with the 2D animation, he's made up of a bunch of layers. If you notice, he doesn't have any shading, and that's because I figured out that sometimes the shading like increases the chance for this program to crash, and that's a no good. This program's called OpenTunes. It's actually an open source free 2D animation program. So if you're interested in that and you have no cash to spare, check it out. So basically, all the scenes include some element of him, usually like the back of his hair or his ears, not moving, and then like the mouth and eyes moving, mouth, nose, and eyes. So it's created of these layers. If you see, that's the storyboard I used in the back. The storyboard in the background is peeking through. So here's a terrifying look at 2D with a receding hairline and no mouth, eyes, or nose. Because this like image never moves, so it's just one image going continuously throughout the whole thing. Then I add his eyes. At some point, he doesn't blink. Okay. In some of the scenes, he like kind of makes his eyes wider as he talks. In this one, he seems to not. Then his mouth actually includes his jaw, because a thing about Gorillaz animations is that some people miss it, is that the whole jaw moves. It's not like anime where it's just their mouth like flapping open. Basically, I made a bunch of different mouth shapes. This is the basic of lip syncing. You make a bunch of different mouth shapes and like sync it to them talking. If I like play through all the individual mouth shapes and like scroll through it, it actually kind of looks like it's animated. It's cool. So like I would make like a shape like, okay, he's doing ah, so I'll make a big ah, and then I'd go to like he closes his mouth here. I'll make it So it's just a bunch of manual stuff like that. Alright, trail from the future here. I was editing the video and I realized I didn't explain how I did a lot of it. When I made the animatic, I basically cut up each scene and exported its audio as a separate WAV file, and then put that in each project's folder. So in each scene's project file, I could import just the snippet of the audio, like the whatever 2 sentences I decided to make him say. In this case, it's all my life, be my light, on me I am a satellite, and I can't get back without you. So he says all that, and I decided that beforehand in the storyboard, and then I just imported the snippet of audio that I decided that he's gonna say. I always left a little bit more leeway of margin, so I would import and animate more audio than I would have needed in the final cut. That way I could always have a little bit of extra animation to like crossfade without it like pausing or anything. I animated in 24 frames per second on 2s and 3s mostly, yeah. So that basically means that it's 24 frames per second and there's a new like a mouth frame every 2-ish. I don't know if I broke that. Yeah, in some parts I broke it to do like a 1 frame like transition just for smoothness. This decision came after me slowing down actual Gorillaz like lip syncing frame by frame and noticing they do that also, just for extra fluidity. In case there's need to be like a really smooth like movement and he like talks really fast, you need to be able to sync it up. In front of his eyes, I have a separate layer for hair. In this case, I could have done it all in one layer, but sometimes his eyes move, and I'd prefer to have everything on separate layers so I don't have to redraw anything. This is like how the final look goes. Oh, and a little detail I added is that in humans, they tend not to have like unnecessary outlines, so they don't have outlines where they're like their body or anything meets the environment. They only have outlines when it intersects itself. So there's like no black outline where his jaw is, but there's a black outline where his like chin kind of intersects where his like neck is. Basically, how I start these is that I do the rough animation first. This is just a really messy pass that I do. This is actually one of the cleaner sketch animations I did. But basically, I just figure out all the mouth shapes that I need. So then I just animate it. Like, I don't care that's like really messy and it has like a lot of artifacts or whatever. This is just to like get everything down. And then I go frame by frame and then I trace it with like color and everything. So that's how I did all the 2D scenes. All of this is basically just a bunch of combinations of those. So it's just interior 3D shots, 2D lip syncing, and then like a bunch of dust and particles and stuff I added. The only exceptions are the like 29 AV, I think. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so this is a scene I'm really proud of. Is where the ship basically goes straight at the camera, like all while being distorted while going into the portal or whatever. Just whatever was flashing. My little headcanon for this is that in the video he goes into like a time loop because everything reverses after this scene, and then he goes back to exactly the same pose he had before, and it ends as it began with the same sound clip. So I thought that was appropriate. So I just took this ship, rendered it flying straight at the camera, put it in After Effects, put a bunch of effects on it, like a fisheye lens effect, and then drew 2D freaking out really roughly. So it ends him looking like that, which is a really funny face. You can't really see because he's very small and it spins around and there's a lot of distortion and shaking when it happens, but he actually like turns to face the window a little bit. Here, yeah. It's very rough because I knew this wouldn't like show up that much. So just a little like whole like whoa. This whole part where he just kind of flies at the camera and kind of like braces himself is a reference to El Mañana, the end of El Mañana, which is my favorite song personally. And the animation for that is gorgeous, so I just wanted to give a little homage to that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for all the love that you've given the video. I wouldn't have been able to continue working on other projects if that hadn't happened. Thank you all for your questions. If I missed anything, please ask me in the comments below, and I'll probably make a short like follow-up video and just like link it. So that's hopefully that helped. Hopefully that inspires any of you to go out and animate, since the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. Yeah, thank you guys so much, and new Gorillaz content, new Gorillaz animation coming soon. I'm working on the storyboard currently, but it's coming along, and I'm planning for this one to be really spicy, like spicier than this video by far. So hopefully you guys will appreciate it. And thank you. Have a good night.